for everyone, but we've really been looking forward to this particular session where we really are able to share with you the conceptual plan of this building being transformed, renovated, and the new addition. So Gary Pfister, our Director of Services, he has done operations. He's done a great job involved with this, and he'll have great explanation for you, a lot of information. We want to let you know that there are other ways to stay connected, and we have that on our website. At the end of his presentation, he'll show exactly the web page and what you click on to get additional information. We try to record our prior meetings so that you can see those, and those are now posted. But also we have coffee chats that are in the morning, and also some site meetings that we're doing at the Broadway site as well as at the Nevin Coffee site, which happens to be, we hold that station here at Broadway's neighborhood. We hold that in the Broadway neighborhood. So without any delay, I want to get you started because I think you're really going to enjoy this. Mr. Gary Pfister.
Thanks, Dr. Duffy. All right, welcome. For those of you that have not been to one of these presentations before, it's kind of informal. If you've got a question as we're going through, raise your hand. We'll try to answer it. My answer may be, it's in a slide that's coming up, sit tight, and then if I don't answer it, we'll come back to it. May also be, I'm not sure of the answer to that. We'll get the answer and we'll get back to you. We have about 32 to 35 slides tonight. We do have a lot of slides. Want to try to go in as much detail as possible, but I also don't want to be here till the snow starts tonight. So we'll try to get through it in a quick way, but also in a way that is understandable to everybody.
We'll help you shovel so kids can move.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Okay, this is our 7th engagement we've done since last February. We started a year ago. Last year we started by talking about the renovations we did at the middle school, or we're going to do at the middle school and here. We continued on through the spring with that. We then started up again in October, reviewing everything we did this past summer. And then this is our second in a series of 4 that we're doing this spring, discussing the bond issue that is on the ballot in May. So right off the bat, you can see we have 2 more of these scheduled. The next one is on March 12th, and Mr. Dave Stevens, our treasurer, will be leading that session and talking about the bond issue. We do have a couple slides tonight he's going to speak on, but we'll go into great depth and detail on March 12th. April 9th, still kind of to be determined where we're at as far as what information we need to get out to everybody still. Those are both here, both at 6:30 p.m. All right, so this evening, we're going to go through the master facilities plan and the proposed bond levy. We're going to look at the conceptual floor plan, both of, as Greta said, the renovation of this space, and as well the classroom addition that is going to be added on to this building. I want to highlight the word conceptual. Everything you're going to see tonight is still very conceptual in nature. There have been no blueprints drawn. There's been no pencil put down to paper to say, this is what we're going to do. But that being said, while they're conceptual, there has been a plethora of hours that have gone into these discussions trying to come up with a plan that makes the most sense, that's going to meet our educational needs for the next 40 to 60 years, and do it at a fiscally conservative cost that benefits the taxpayers. We know there's a cost. There's a cost to this, and we're trying to keep those costs down as much as we can and provide our students and our staff with the spaces they need to do their jobs effectively. We'll then look at the updates that are going to be made to this campus as far as parking, bus drop-off, walkers, all of that information we'll look at. And then at the end, we'll talk about our roadmap forward. So, as we've been talking about for a long time here, over a year, the master's facility plan, we're looking at, in this current phase of the plan, we're going to come in and renovate approximately 60% of this building. You can see the bullet points there that we're looking at that we are going to be hitting upon. That's not everything. That's not an exhaustive list. That's just the main points. If you notice at the bottom, we will participate with the OHFCC in the funding of this project. So we have been approved by the OHFCC as part of their ELP program. ELP stands for the Expedited Local Partnership Program. And what that means is that We pay for the project up front. We have to pass a bond issue that covers the cost of this project up front. And then when our number comes up from the OHFCC stating, hey, we're ready to give you your money, we then get that money back, and then there's stuff we have to do with that money, and we'll talk about that a little bit. I did see a hand go up. Yes, sir.
What does OHFCC stand for?
Thank you. Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. Yep. As we talked about last year, and before we did last year, as we talked about in October a little bit, OHFCC is not my favorite state organization out there. Never has been. They put a lot of requirements on you, and not all bad, some very good, but some that also raise the cost. The nice thing about ELK is some of those requirements go away. We get to pick the design firm. If you're just going with OHFCC and their classroom facilities plan, they say it's a co-pick between the state and us, but we always know how that works. Our say is very limited. B, we get to pick the construction manager. Same thing, if we're in the OHFCC classroom plan, the state pretty much picks that. And so our hands are tied a little bit in that plan. This plan frees us up from that. Moving on to this slide, so we're going to renovate about 60% of this. Then we're going to build an addition on the east side of the building, and you'll see all of that here as far as where it's going to be located. It's a 94,000 square foot addition. For comparison's sakes, this building is 67,000 square feet. So we're looking at about 161,000 square foot total building when all is said and done.
What's the current square foot of all three buildings?
72 at Broadway, 40 at Nevin, 67 here. So that's 179,000. Plan also includes demolition and abatement of Nevin Coppic, the bus garage, the tennis courts, and currently Broadway's in the plan to be demolished. One thing to keep in mind is that the state does co-fund the demolition of our existing buildings. So that is co-funded to us at 35% of the cost. Now you see pending property determination there. That's because Dr. Kumpf is leading a series of meetings with the Broadway community trying to come up with the best way to handle that property once we're ready to move out of it. So those are discussions that are ongoing. There have been no decisions made, but I will say the master plan does show Broadway and the associated central and the maintenance garage being demolished. So that the plan also takes into account building a bus garage and relocating the tennis courts from out there up at the high school. And we have a slide to show that as well too. So that's our overall master facility plan. Mr. Stevens, I'll let you talk on this next couple of slides.
All right. My name is Dave Stevens. I'm the treasurer for Tipp City Schools. You may or may not be aware that back in January, the board passed the resolutions required to place a bond issue on the May election coming up. Now that bond amount that we're looking to pass is $35,750,000. The term length, you'll notice, is 27 years. And if you remember what happened back in 2016, we put a bond issue to try to do a pre-K3 building on the Broadway site. The term length of that bond was 37 years. And we had a resounding no for the March 2016 election. We were told 37 years is too long to pay on debt. So we've gone with 27 years. Now the voted millage that we're putting on the ballot is 5.4 mils. This is an estimate of $35,750,000 being repaid over 27 years at what we think an estimated interest rate. At the time that we passed that levy, we had an estimated interest rate of 4.82%. 5.4 mils is what the county auditor certified back to the board and said, this is what you would need to collect. Now, I'm throwing this out a little early. If you come to the next presentation in March, we'll talk more about the bond issue, but here's the thing that we have that's special at Tipp. If you're aware, we are currently paying the last 5 years of our high school debt right now. So what we would have if this bond passed, we would have overlapping. We would have high school debt and we'd have this elementary school debt. That's a lot to ask of the taxpayers. So what we have been able to do, I spoke with our financial advisor from Baird Financial. They are excellent financial representatives. They have been able to confirm with us that we could go out and sell these bonds and front load with interest in the beginning and push principal back 5 years so that we're only paying on interest during the 5 years that we're paying the last 5 years of the high school debt. What this allows us to do is actually collect only 3.87 mils during the last 5 years of the high school debt and the first 5 years of that elementary debt. Let me show you what this looks like. If you can see, this bottom red half, that's the current high school millage. This upper millage is the elementary debt. We have 3.89 mils as the current effective rate of collection on the high school debt for the next, for 2020 through 2024, those are the 5 years we're discussing, overlapping with the the elementary school debt. So 3.89 for the high school, 3.87 for the elementary. Once the high school's paid off, we would then drop from 7.76 mils down to 5.4 mils. We will see a decrease in the tax collections after the first 5 years, and for the remainder of the life of the debt, 2025, 2046, it would go down from 7.76 combined down to 5.4 just for the elementary. Now here's the thing that I don't show in this slide. I'm going to fall down the stairs. We, as Mr. Pfister already explained, are expecting OHFCC through their HELP program to provide us with another roughly $5 million for their portion of our project. Our plans and the board plans is to take that $5 million and pay down this debt. So we anticipate seeing a lower millage rate. Once we pay down that debt or refinance that debt, we will not be paying 5.4 mils worth. It will be less. What that amount is at this time, we don't know. We're not certain exactly when OHFCC is going to give us the money, but we do know it's coming. And when it comes, we have to either put money into the schools again or pay down our debt. And right now our plans are pay down that debt, get it done. We've done this before already with the current high school. We have refinanced twice on the high school debt. That was originally supposed to end in 2027. But because we refinanced, reduced the interest rate, we took it from 2027 final payment to 2024 final payment. And not only that, we reduced the millage that we were collecting on it as well. So we were able to shorten the life and shorten the millage collection. So we plan and hope to do the same exact thing with this bond right here. Any questions on that? If I've confused you, I apologize. It confused the heck out of me and Mr. Pfister when we first heard it. But we've got it down now. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. I'll discuss that with you. Yes, sir.
The other slide said assessed value. So if my house is $200,000 market value, is it double what that number is?
If you go to the county auditor's website and see what they have assessed your value at, that's what we use. It's not a market value for what the market says your house is worth. It's what the county auditor's assessed value is.
Which is like a fraction.
So
That's the number.
it could be a little lower. Who knows? It could be higher.
But that's the lower, in my case, what would be the lower number is the assessed value. So if I have a just so I understand.
Yeah.
If I have a $200,000 market and it's assessed by the county at $100,000, then I'm paying $75,000.
That is correct. If it's worth 200, if it's assessed at 200,000, you'd be paying 3,150. So what we have, if you it may be online right now, might not be sure. There are actually two tables. One that shows The value's at 5.4 mil, and it ranges from, I think, 50,000 home assessed value up to 300 or 400,000. It's right there for you to go to my house, for the county auditor, this is my dollar amount. And we have that for both the 5.4 mil and the 3.87 mil. So, and that is, I believe, already located on the school's website. So.
Okay, again, the whole next session is all on the bond issue. We'll have those tables and charts ready to show. We just wanted to get this information out now so that you are aware of what the cost is. Okay, so the conceptual floor plan. So up here in the colored section in the red dash box is current LT ball. That side is the classroom addition. We're going to walk through each section. We have blow-ups in each of the sections to try to talk you through what we are looking at as a conceptual idea for this project. So, let's start with current LT ball. If you look at the top right corner, you're going to see a map of current LT ball with the colored area. That's the section of the building that we are looking at as we go through. So, this area is, you go all the way down this hallway, it is the classrooms on the very end. What we are envisioning in this space is a new art room and a new music room. So if you go in that space right now, we have 4 separate classrooms in that space. So we're looking at putting in a music room and an art room geared probably towards our primary age kids. It's going to be a closer walk from the addition for them and their little legs. So we're looking at art room and music room. Windows will be added into the art room space. Next to that, we show it says special education. Those are our MH classrooms. Our kids with the more severe needs, the mobility issues, some of those kids that spend the majority of their day in those classrooms. Those 2 rooms come here. Both of these rooms are about 1,200 square feet. The nice thing about these special ed rooms is we're also going to provide a separate restroom for their needs, changing area for their needs, as well as a separate conference room for those special ed classrooms. So again, 1,200 square feet, art room, music room, special ed with restrooms and conference room. The next section, if you look up at the top, you can see where we're looking. We're looking basically from the office on that side down to the back of the building. What we're envisioning currently, our kitchen sits right here. Our current kitchen is about 1,180 square feet. Not big enough to service the size of building we're going to have with 1,180 kids in the building. So we got to do something to make that bigger. So we have looked at this space over here where our current office suite is at and determined this makes a great location for the new kitchen. We're tripling in size and almost quadrupling in size the current kitchen, which then goes in this whole area right here. This area is the office space. There's a music storage room back in here. There's a couple other storage rooms up in here, a couple other small itinerant rooms as well. This becomes the kitchen. Serving area as well. Right now there's 1 serving line in here. There's going to be more than 1 serving line. We don't know what it's going to look like yet. That's for those details once we get the bond issue passed, and then we sit down with the kitchen planners trying to determine the best layout to service our K-5 kids. These people that do that work have built a lot of schools. They know that information and know what's going to work best in a school like that. The red block up on the top, it says art room. Currently that's a music room. So we're looking at moving the art room that currently sits here and moving it over here, adding windows to it, adding room for kilns and storage as well. So we have kilns, we have storage for the second art room. To the left of that hallway, like I said, currently this is the art room. Currently this is part of the teacher's lounge and Mrs. Moore's room. And then currently this is a computer lab. We are envisioning on this section to build 2 pre-K classrooms, both with separate restrooms. Both of those rooms are about 1,200 square feet as well, so relatively large. You'll see where it says secure vestibule entry. When kids come into that room, if they come in late, they can come in that way. They get buzzed in from the outside into the vestibule. They get buzzed in from the vestibule into the classroom. So secure entryway, and you'll see that throughout most of our entries. Computer lab. We're envisioning this to be a teaching computer lab. Right now, LT Ball has a teaching computer lab where the kids have computer as a special. We see that continuing as well. You're going to notice it's the only computer lab we are showing in this process. The way of education in the future or current is mobile. Everything's mobile computing, whether it's Chromebooks, whether it's iPads, whether it's some sort of a tablet, everything's going mobile. So this new space, we are going to be upping our mobile capability throughout the building, which lessens the need for sitting down at a computer lab. Next to that is the second music room. Currently, those of you that know this building, that room is currently Mrs. Brogan's room in the back corner. For those of you that remember the building when it was a junior high school, that was the wood shop back there. We had converted it back in 2004 into a classroom. Currently, there's no walls, there's no lowered ceiling. It's just basically a warehouse-style classroom. That is huge. Mrs. Brogan likes the size of the room. She hates that there's no walls and no ceiling. This plan puts a music room in there, puts walls up, puts a ceiling up, makes it a normal-looking music room, soundproofing. Again, about 12 to 1,300 square foot music room. This piece looks at the entire middle of the building, from the back wall all the way down to this back wall. I'm going to talk about one piece here that's not a reno but an add first. So up here, you can see it says stage number 2. As we sat down and looked at this, looked at our curricular programs, looked at how our music teachers do their programming, most of the programs are done at the whole grade level. We know that this space right here in front of us isn't conducive to put 200 kids on and be able to do a program. So we thought we need to get another stage in this place so that there is a place for them to do their programs in their school. It's great that we can go up to the CPA, but when you go up to the CPA at the high school, you're juggling schedules, you're fighting to get times, you're limited to the amount of times you can be in there. If you have a stage in your building, it's yours. You can do it when you want to do it, when it makes the most sense to you. So that space currently, if you go out on the playground, that space is an indentation in the playground. Right now it's asphalt right there. We thought, hey, perfect place to put a stage. It would require removal of that back wall here so the stage opening is there, but it makes a lot of sense to have that, a big space inside of there to get a lot of people seating as well. We'll work our way down through the rest of the middle section. The gymnasium itself is not going to change, other than the fact we are looking at upgrading the floor that's in there. We're not looking at doing that as part of the bond issue. We think we have the funds in our capital improvement account that we can put a new floor in that gym, not this summer, but the following summer. So the only major change we're looking at doing to this gymnasium is putting a new floor in there. That currently has the original tartan floor put in 1974. It's showing its age, it's showing its wear and tear, and really something needs to be done with that.
Scoreboards too.
We put some new ones up, just one. No, that's a JD Fast question. He's the one that was in charge of that. So. The next section, student dining, where we're sitting right now. This room is approximately 5,800 square feet. We're confident and comfortable with having our kids eat in this building. An elementary school schedule, we don't bring 200 or 300 kids to lunch all at the same time. Typically they come staggered, whether it's 2 classes, 4 classes, 6 classes. They come in, they get their food, they come out, they sit down, they eat, they go back to class, other classes are coming in. So it's a constant flow of kids coming into the cafeteria. We also know that if, hey, we get in here and it is a little tight, we know we have this space up here stage one that we can convert into a dining area for maybe the older kids, maybe for some other special idea that we can use up here. I don't think it's going to be needed, but we have that space just in case. The media center. Currently, the reading room part of the media center ends about right here, maybe even a little bit further. Then we have a computer lab that sits back in here. We have a storage room. We have a guidance counselor's office that are currently in our media center. Tripling the number of kids in here, we need a bigger media center. That's a given, have to have it. So we are going to take the current media center, which is a great space as it is, take out the computer lab, take out the storage room, take out the guidance counselor's office, and go all the way back to those classrooms that are on the back wall. Gives us about 4,600 square feet. Again, almost doubling the size of the current reading room, if not tripling the size of the current reading room. We're looking currently at a book room here, storage here, and then a media specialist office back in that area. As we've said all along, one of the best parts of this building is the spine of this building. When we get both of these sets of doors on this side and on the media center side opened up, it makes a great space for presentations, whether it's science fair, whether it's a wax museum, anything like that. This space works really well. And I think what we're doing by expanding the media center, adding a new stage on this end, really enhances what we can do in here. All right, the next space. You can see where we're at up on the key up here, which is down this hallway, the far end of the hallway. We have taken those 4 classrooms at the far end and expanded them to create our administrative suite. So what we're looking at is a principal's office, we're looking at an assistant principal's office, we're looking at 2 conference rooms, that'll probably have a door, folding door, that if we have a large meeting that the principals need to conduct, we can open that up and have a very large conference room. Reception area, secretarial area, mail room, copy room, storage, the clinic. That clinic is a little bit more than 600 square feet. The one that's in this building is 180, I believe, so more than tripling the size of the clinic. Reception area, secretarial area, this is about 800 square feet. Principal's office is 200, assistant principal is 150 square feet. Those conference rooms are 250 square feet each. When opened up, it gives you a nice size 500 square foot conference room. Again, secure vestibule, right there. Once we get our kids in the morning, doors are locked, everybody's in. Nobody gets in that building unless they come through this entryway. And they're not going to even get into this office unless we buzz them into here and deem that they should be able to come into here. So they get buzzed into here. Secretary, receptionist will check them out, make sure they're safe to come in. Then they get buzzed into here. They never get out to here until we let them get out to there. So safety first. Most new schools already have that in place. We do not. Our schools don't have that now. It's a great feature that we're excited about. Wish we had it, but we're glad that we're able to bring it in now.
So how does that entrance work on the pre-K side? I mean, will there be someone manning it, or will it just be?
It'll be buzzed into the teachers that are in that. I'm sorry, who asked the question? So I know. Thank you. If they're coming in that side, there will be a buzzer that will buzz into those teachers in that classroom, and then they can decide if they should be coming in. We're still talking through that, determining if we want the pre-K kids coming in there, or if we want them coming in down here and having their aid taken and walk them back to the classroom. So this is if they're coming in late to the school day. I heard another question. Somebody else have one? Yes, sir.
So there's just one principal for the building?
A principal and an assistant principal. So 2 administrators in this building.
Is that a reduction?
It is. There's currently a principal at LT, currently a principal at Nevin, currently a principal at Broadway.
Can I ask you one more question?
You sure can.
Hold on. When it's done, you know how many students you have now. What's the percentage of growth for the building?
Let me see if I understand your question correctly. So we know we have 400 students in this building. We know that currently in the 3 buildings, We have approximately, there's 387 in one building, there's 379 in another. We have about 1,150 kids. Okay. As we get into the addition, you'll see what we're going to do with classroom sizes and classroom numbers of classrooms, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay. He did bring up a great point as far as what are we planning for student-wise. As part of the OHFCC, one of the best things they do is take and do an enrollment study for you. We had this done back in 2014 when we started working with them, and then as we moved into this process, we had them come out and update the plan so we know where we're at. Their current plan is showing our enrollment to increase over the next 10 years by about 100 kids from where we're at today. And it's not just a guesstimate. They go in, they look at current housing developments, number of unsold sites. They work with the city to look at potential housing sites that the city's aware of. They look at live birth rates, they look at survivor rates, and then punch that all into the formula to come up with what they think our growth is based on. This will accommodate that. Yes, sir. That's one of our fears. We look at our neighbor, Bethel. They just went through a nice building project, and they're getting so much growth from the Huber Heights area where they don't have enough room to put them. We don't want that to happen. But we're also trying to juggle. We don't want to build so big that we're spending too much money for space we don't really need. So we're trying to juggle that and use the information the best we can to come up with a good number.
How many open enrollments that you could shut off?
I think currently we're about 80. Yeah. Thank you. Currently about 80 open enrollment kids. So we can control enrollment that direction. However, keep in mind, our teachers, through their negotiated agreement, are able to bring their students, their children here if they don't live in our district. And that's pretty standard in districts throughout the state.
How many's that of the 80? That I don't know.
Don't know.
About 50. About 50.
Thank you. Mr. Gingrich says it's about 50 of those kids. We have put a cap on, we have looked at really reducing our number of open enrollment kids over the past few years. I think 3 or 4 years ago we were about 130 kids, and we're down to 80 right now. We believe strongly if you want to go to school in our district, come live here. We got a great district. Other questions I can answer on that. So, I didn't do this side. I'm sorry. Let me get back up here. So as well, we're showing 2 guidance offices. We have 2 guidance counselors now, K-5. The thing we heard loud and clear from principals is we don't want the guidance office in the principal's office, especially at this age. We don't want the kids to think when they're coming down to speak with one of our guidance counselors that they're in trouble. And a lot of times the younger kids, even though they're going into the guidance office, if they have to go into the principal's office or the principal's suite, they're going to think they're in trouble. So we've got 2 guidance offices right here. We got guidance storage here. This room actually is guidance storage. This room is connected into here. It doesn't show that. We have a storage room up there as well for guidance records. And then we have 4 what we're calling itinerant offices. Could be for speech, could be for PT, could be for school psychologists. It could be for Officer Dan in the back as he raises his hand. He keeps looking for his space. Says, Mr. Pfister, where's my space? So that could be a space for him as well. We like that as the separation between the 2, but yet keeping them close together because our principals and guidance counselors do work extremely close together. A lot of times our guidance counselors are quasi-administrators when the principals aren't around the building as well. So we like that aspect of this plan a lot. Where's my clicker? Secure vestibule, we talked about that, so we don't need to spend time on that right now. The classroom addition. So before I go into that, any other questions on current LT ball space? Yes, ma'am.
For this middle area that you're talking about, keeping the stage, the media center, and this is the eating area, is the same construction with the brick and everything, does that all stay the same, or
Currently the plan is to keep it the same.
Okay, so this looks.
This look will stay the same. One thing I didn't talk about, and Dave hit on it a little bit. So the state co-funds 35% of this project of co-fundable items. So not everything we're doing is co-fundable. A bus garage isn't co-fundable, tennis courts aren't co-fundable, kitchen equipment, believe it or not, kitchen equipment is not co-funded. So there's some items that we have to pay 100% of the cost that the state won't co-fund. We're anticipating getting about $10.1 million back from the state once our number comes up. Mr. Stevens mentioned $5 million of that is going to go to pay down the bond. So where's the other $5 million go? Well, when you use the state's money, you play by the state's rules. Plain and simple. So we're putting about $5 million, $5.2 million into this with this initial bond issue. When our number comes up and the money is available from the state, the first thing we have to do is come back into this building and continue to finish bringing it up to Ohio School Design Manual standards. We're anticipating that to be about $5 million. That's not another check that we have to write. That is a credit we get back from the state, and the state pays those bills. At that point in time, we take whatever money is left over, work with the school board, Mr. Stevens, to pay down that bond issue. And again, we'll go into more detail on that. So, while the initial is about $5 million or so, when we come back in, we're not going to be changing the looks of the brick and the block. Maybe some paint, obviously, but the bricks itself, I think it's one of the nicest parts of the building is the brick on the inside.
What about ceiling tiles?
Ceiling tiles will be replaced because we got to go up and do all the duct work, all the electric, all that. These lovely things are not your standard ceiling tile. These are metric sizes and cost us a fortune every time we have to replace them. Each tile is over 20 bucks, as opposed to your standard tile, which is less than $2 typically. So yes, these are coming out. Our little belly in each of them is coming out, and they'll be replaced and they'll look much nicer. All right. Yes, ma'am.
This cafeteria here, it's going to be K through 5th grade?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to be a schedule all that?
Yes. I'm confident we can schedule all that.
Okay.
We've done a table slide as well, which is not part of this presentation, that Mike Richley helped us work through, that showed that yes, we can make this work.
Okay.
And again, the biggest thing is that it's a different lunch schedule than what a middle school or high school is, where you just don't dump 300 kids in at a time. They're coming in waves, so they finish in waves. We keep bringing those waves in.
Yeah, I teach at Bethel, so I
Great.
know all about the elementary kids walk past my classroom every day in the waves. That's why I had a question on that. Also, I wanted to make sure that the teachers were involved in the planning.
Certainly.
Is there like a committee of teachers? And the
Yep.
principals?
So currently, what we've done so far is we have a program of requirements committee, which looks at what do we need in this building, how are we going to get it there, where does it need to be. We have 2 teacher reps from each of the 3 elementary buildings, and we have an administrator rep. That committee, I believe, has met 3 times this year. We met prior when we were doing the last project as rep as well. So they've been in on that side of it. We have been out to give these presentations to the teachers as well as a building staff, answering their questions. And then once we get into a past bond issue, they're involved as we start the design phase. Doesn't mean they're going to get everything they want, but we're definitely going to listen and make sure that they have what they need to do their job appropriately. Yes, sir.
All these classes, all these students sit together like this, what kind of administrative people are you going to have here?
Well,
How many?
We'll go back to that one slide. We showed 2 principals, a principal and assistant principal. Currently, we have 3. Going down to 2.
What about all the rest of the administrative, the receptionists, the session?
Yep, currently there's 6. I don't think a firm number has been given as far as how many receptionists and secretaries will be. So there's 2 in this building, 2 in Nevitt, 2 in Broadway. But the only thing I am safe to say is I don't think it's going to be 6. What that number is going to be, that's not my decision to make. That's Dr. Kumpf and the principals and where they land on how many. Okay? All right. Yes?
You said that you were going to have a computer lab and then also shared that with the way the technology allows you to do mobile.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you anticipate needing a computer lab long term, or will that space be?
I think there's skills that as the kids get in 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, that they're going to need.
Typewriting skills?
Yes, they're going to need that to be successful as they move into their
Okay, so the idea would be to keep like
Yes.
typewriting that sort of thing?
Yeah, or whenever the wave becomes.
He has kind of 3 days.
Yes.
So with the students, where they
they are right now, there's no overlap of kindergartners with kids. Will that,
Let's look at the plan, and you'll see what it looks like.
okay.
Okay? All right, let's keep moving. The classroom addition, again, this is going to be a two-story, 94,000 square foot addition on the east side of this building. You can see it there on the right-hand side. So what's included briefly, it's a two-story addition. There are 6 grade level neighborhoods, we're calling them. Some people call them petals, some people just call them wings. But we're looking at neighborhoods. Gymnasium we are adding, which we'll talk about as well. And then that stage, which we already talked about. So each floor is going to have 3 grade levels. The first floor, grades 1, 2, and kindergarten. The second floor, grades 3, 4, and 5. We'll break this down here in a slide real quickly. Just wanted to point out a little bit on classroom size space. So grades 1 through 5, the classroom space size is 810 square feet. Current classroom space sizes that we have right now in grades 1, 2, and 3, so first grade at Nevin, grades 2 and 3 at Broadway, current classroom space size ranges anywhere from 830 to 880. So for those teachers, they're going to get a little bit smaller room. For grades 4 and 5 in this building, current classroom sizes are 690 square feet to 710 square feet. So our 4th and 5th grade teachers will go into an 810 square foot room as well. Kindergarten. Our current kindergarten classroom sizes are 880 square feet. New kindergarten classrooms will be 1,080. So 200 square foot more. These sizes we are going with are all in the Ohio School Design Manual that is put out by the OHFCC. So let's look at a neighborhood or a wing or a petal, however we want to call it, however we want to talk about it. Let me get a quick drink of water. So every neighborhood is going to have 9 classrooms. You can see them around the square. Currently, we have 1 grade level in grades K through 5 that has 9 classrooms. The rest have 8. So to go back to the question on sizing, we are making sure we have enough classroom space to go up to 9 sections per grade level. Looking at the enrollment projection, we're very comfortable with that number, and we're very comfortable staying within what Tipp City deems important as far as classroom sizes. We've always been a district that wants, in our younger grades especially, as few as kids as possible in a classroom, because we know that's the best for them. So we know that our 9 classrooms are more than enough to keep our classroom numbers where they've consistently been over the years. We're not going to be putting 26 to 30 kids in these classrooms. We believe in a 20 to 24 range in a classroom. So that is the goal. You'll see a stairwell at the far end. So each of the neighborhoods does have a stairwell for that neighborhood. This section down the middle, very, very conceptual. There's some titles on some of these boxes. There's some names on some of these boxes. That might not be what they end up being. This, we have about a little more than 1,500 square feet from here to there. So depending on the needs of those grade levels, of those teachers, as we get into the design phase, we'll be talking about, hey, first grade needs a bigger special education classroom and maybe not a small group room. So we have that space that is very flexible as we get into the design phase to make it work. So current sizes of what you're conceptually looking at, you have a special education classroom that's 600 square feet, teacher workroom is 250 square feet, the 2 title rooms are 175 square feet, small group room of 150, a storage room of 125, and then a teacher restroom of 60. So that same concept is in all 6 of the neighborhoods. And again, concepts could be changed depending on the needs of that grade level and that part of the building. The nice thing is you got these hallways that wrap around, so it keeps the area more compact, keeps the kids closer together. We're envisioning lockers to be right outside the classrooms as well. We're looking at wide enough corridors to be able to do that. Currently, if you go down this hallway, our corridor is about 8 feet. We want to get the 10 to 12 foot wide corridors to widen it up so that we can put the cubbies out there, the lockers out there, whatever you call them, and still be able to get classes around them. Questions on this slide before I move on to the next slide? Yes, sir.
Where are the student restrooms?
I'll show those as we come up around towards the gymnasium. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Do you need an elevator for this?
Yes. We'll show that as well. Okay, let's keep going. So, the gym. Let's talk about the gym. We know in this community, in the evenings, gym space is a premium. Plain and simple. We know that. But we also know what kind of gym space do we need to meet our educational and curriculum requirements. Believe it or not, OHFCC, the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, this is one area where I diverge from them greatly. They say for 1,200 kids, that gym's big enough. They say you don't need another gym. We know differently. That's kind of crazy. So, we are putting in a second gymnasium. Now, the location of this, we have debated, we have discussed, we have thrown out millions of ideas over the last month, 2 months, trying to figure out how to make this work without adding too much square footage. Our original plan had this second gymnasium on the other side of this gymnasium. That took our build over 100,000 square feet in the addition. The state is only going to co-fund 87,000 square feet. So we already know at 94,000 square feet that the state's not co-funding all of that. We also know adding another 6,000 square feet onto that is putting another burden onto our community. So we looked at it, threw some ideas around, finally we said, hey, we've got this space, and if you look up here at the top, you can see where it's sitting, where the basketball court is laid out. Before we put a gym there, it's basically an open space. I don't want to say wasted square footage, but there really wasn't a lot of use to that square footage. So we made the call, we know we need a second gymnasium, let's get it in here. So this gymnasium shows a 50 by 84 basketball court. It is the same size basketball court as what we have at the high school. Again, we think it's important to have the full size so that whether it's our athletic teams, whether it's our junior high teams, whether it's our community teams, have the proper size space to use. You will notice that there are no walls around this. So this is a gymnasium / multi-purpose room. We also know that there's concerns out there saying, well, how can you teach gym if there's no walls? And we debated that for several hours with Mr. Richley over and over again. We then came up with the idea, I will say Mr. Richley came up with the idea. If you look at our current high school gymnasium, there's a curtain that drops down the middle. It's a gymnasium curtain. Thick, heavy plastic that will divide that gym in half. We have taken and put those curtains on either side so that if who's ever teaching PE at that time wants their kids' undivided attention, which most kids that go to PE give them their undivided attention because they love PE. However, if they don't want to see the kids that are walking around, we can lower the curtains and they're going to be able to have their own gymnasium during the day with their own space closed in so the kids aren't seeing other kids walking around. We have also added a sensor curtain as well that can be dropped for weekends when we have basketball teams in here practicing, from our teams to community services teams, trying to make it as flexible as possible. One of the discussions on the walls were, well, why don't we just put walls anyways? Problem comes in, once you do that, if you're not adding square footage for those walls, this gym becomes 40 feet wide at that point in time. So you're losing the width to a gymnasium. Also then, really makes it difficult to go both ways, playing basketball in a 40-foot wide gymnasium. So we are currently, conceptually, planning the gymnasium without walls, with the curtains that can be dropped during the school day to prevent the distractions of the children that are in PE class. You'll also see throughout, you got PE storage up and below. Another storage room here. Here's our elevator that takes us up to the second floor. Here's our one set of restroom, boys and girls, first floor. Second set of restroom, boys and girls, first floor. Mechanical closet. And then a large, massive stairwell that takes us up to the second floor. So remember, I said there was already stairwells at the end of each neighborhood. We now have this massive stairwell that is the main stairwell to get upstairs.
What about noise?
Noise for the classrooms.
Yes,
So,
for the gym.
yep. So initially we have these spaces as kind of a barrier between the gym and the classroom. We have those all the way around, trying to prevent the noise. And then once the building is designed and constructed, we'll put soundproofing in those walls to keep those noises from coming in. We also have doors at the end of each neighborhood. So 6 sets of doors there. That can be closed. We also will have doors that will go back into current LT that can be closed as well.
There's no stands.
There is no stands. No. So if we're having community service ball games in here, we'll have to pull out racks of chairs or just stand around and watch. We've kicked around the idea of bleachers. At this point, we haven't landed on that just yet. Again, we have nice seating in here. So we do have a gymnasium in this building that does have 4 rows of bleachers on each side. Seats about 400 to 500 people comfortably. So we know we have a space that does have bleachers. So the second floor. The stairwell takes you up to the second floor. The yellow is the walkway that gets you between the neighborhoods. You come up the steps. If I have a 4th grader, they're going to come up the steps. They're going to go into their neighborhood here. Second or 3rd or 5th grader, they're going to go around the walkway and go into their neighborhood. Again, doors that will be able to be shut and locked, or the privacy doors, keep sound out. Walkway will currently be able to see the gym below. Obviously, it will be built to code, so it's high enough that people don't tumble over it. But we're also kicking around the possibility of a plexiglass enclosure around it as well. But I think it would be a nice little feature to be able to look down on what's going on in the gym, multi-purpose room if it's an assembly or something along those lines. You can see where our elevator comes up to the top. You can see 2 more sets of restrooms as well. Very, very large sets. We have 2 on the first floor. We have 2 on the second floor. In this building, we have restrooms in that entrance. We have restrooms over there. And we have a set of restrooms back down that hall. So we have 4 in the addition, 3 in this building. So 7 sets.
Gary, that doesn't include the special ed restrooms, correct?
That is correct. There are, as we showed at the beginning, there are restrooms being built in those MH classrooms. And doesn't include the teacher restroom, which is in each of the neighborhoods as well.
So I can take, to get to this Wine area, I can take the big stairwell that's in the green area, or there's a separate one just for the wine area.
So the big stairwell gets you up top. You can come out here to a walkway. If you go up that way and you need to get down to here, you're going to walk the walkway over to here. But in addition, there's another stairwell down here to get you down if you need to, if there's an emergency or your teacher just wants to go that way and go that direction. Yep. We want to make sure we have all the stairwell covers. We want to make sure we can get the kids out as fast as possible whenever there is some sort of emergency going on in the building. Okay. So, Hyatt campus updates. Let's talk playground.
So before you get there,
Yes,
go
ma'am.
back to the building.
Yes.
So, how will the students be disrupted during a school year with the construction? Because what I had heard initially was, like, the new wing was going to be built, kids would move in there, and then construction would take place in, like, current LT. But there's a lot of, like, specials rooms and office and things, so.
The plan is to construct the addition where everybody remains in their current buildings, current classroom space. The second part of that plan is to attack this building over the summers once we get the bond issue passed, doing as much infrastructure as we can over a summer, trying to get as much done prior to the summer before we move into this building. So, to work with Dr. Kump and the calendar committee, we're going to try to make sure we can end as early in May as we can. If we pass now, it'd be in May of 2021, and start as late, probably after Labor Day in 2021, to give us that entire 3-month period to finish off the inside of this building. Tight fit, tight fit. Everything's got to go right.
Yeah, so what's the backup plan?
The backup plan is, if we would need to, we'd have to delay the start of school, would be the backup plan. I don't think we're going to need to. In talking with the Richleys, talking with some of the construction firms around, explaining the process, explaining what needs to happen, they're all pretty comfortable that this can work. That doesn't mean there's not going to be small punch list items that have to be worked through as we go. There's always punch list items. We're still trying to finish up that project with punch list items. So we do know that's going to happen. Okay, great question. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's talk playground space. Currently, this is an overhead view of LT Ball, and it shows the red dotted area. That is current playground space for current LT Ball. This is the area that I said was asphalt. This is where the new stage is going to go. We have playground equipment here. We have playground equipment here. There's a gaga ball pit. Don't know what it is. But we have one of those out here. We have a seated swing there as well. So that is current playground space for current LT Ball. As we move into the addition and into the new renovated LT Ball, the first place to look is up here in this corner between K and 1. We're envisioning a smaller playground up here with smaller equipment for the smaller children. It makes it nice in the mornings when they have their morning playground time, afternoon playground time. They don't have to take and make them go all the way down to there for that. It's right there. It will be fenced in. It will have equipment their size. The great thing about LT Ball is all the grassy space we have out there. So we're still going to have our equipment that we currently have. We're still going to have some asphalt area that's currently right here. And there's still equipment over here. We know we're going to have some asphalt area for basketball courts. We know there's going to have to be asphalt area for Foursquare, all those other types of games that kids like to play. We know there's going to have to be more equipment added to this playground as well. And we know we have the money and the budget to do it. And we know we have the space to do it. The current plan is not to fence in this playground. We may put a fence around here to keep balls from rolling out there, but we're not looking at fencing that in. For the main reason is the amount of people that use that space, whether it's junior high football, whether it's Pee Wee football, whether it's lacrosse, whether it's soccer, trying to get some extra practice in. We don't want to wall it off. That makes it impossible for those groups to use that space. That's too important space to do that. So we're confident again, A, we have the space to make this work, and B, we're going to have the money to do this right as well. Recess is a huge part of the day for elementary kids, and we want to make sure they can still enjoy it as much as we enjoy it. So that's what we're looking at playground-wise. There's a separate slide. I just talked through it and I didn't go to the separate slide. So you can see it again.
You did well.
Thanks. Everything's there, I think, that I talked about. There's the back playground that we just talked about as well. We'll keep moving. Okay, so This slide, the colored part of the slide, shows this parking lot out here, the north parking lot. Currently, this is LT Ball teacher parking, CTC student parking, and then down on this end, some middle school staff park in this parking lot. This parking lot also gets used for baseball games, softball games, and track meets. So it gets a lot of use. During the school day, what we are envisioning is that this parking lot in the morning, in the afternoon, is our bus loading, bus drop-off parking lot, similar to what we have at the high school. The back parking lot at the high school is staff parking and student pickup and drop-off. Currently have one entrance into this site as well, one way in, one way out. We are expanding a little bit, so we're going to work our way towards the track, trying to add a little bit more parking for those events when school is out for the day. Did talk to the city about parking. What kind of parking are we going to need for this site? Bringing another 400 kids over here. And looking at the formulas they used, it looks like we're going to need about 350 spots for this entire site of parking. This side alone, currently, we're at 225 spaces on this side of parking. So the next side, the south side, we'll show you. You'll see there's going to be plenty of room for plenty of parking. So, the south side. You can see the red dashed areas, the footprint of Nevin Coppic, current Nevin Coppic. This actually kind of looks like a bus, is the current bus garage. Our current buses park in this area, and then this area is the tennis courts. As I said at the beginning, all of those need to go away. With what we're trying to do here, that doesn't work having them there. So, we currently have two entrances on that south side. Right now we are denoting a one-way in, a one-way out. Cars would go in, they would drop their children off, whether it's middle school, whether it's LT Ball, and then work their way out. We have contracted with the Kleinger's Group to do a traffic study of Hyatt Street and our campus to make recommendations of the best way to handle our traffic flow. Those of you that drop kids off at the middle school in the morning, you know it's kind of a zoo. So we know we're going to have that kind of a need to have the space to drop the kids off. So if you look at that last sentence, tentative, awaiting results from traffic study, this is our thought process of how we think traffic should flow. We may get something back from the traffic study that says something different, and so we'll adjust to that.
Is there any options of having entrances that way? Connecting to those back streets?
I'm going to say no, but I'd have to check with the city to be sure on that. Right? Yeah, I know we have walkers that walk back that way into the cul-de-sac, but I don't think there's enough room to get a road back through there as well.
Are you going to delay starts or stagger starts?
Middle school will still start about an hour before this building starts. Our K-5 kids, the way we bus ride it now, it's a double route. We have 6 through 12 on one set of buses, K-5 on the other set of buses. So our bus riding will still stay the same. Back on this side, our walkers that leave the building, if they're going to the north, we're going to have them walk down to Hyatt, walk up the sidewalk to their neighborhoods. Those children that go to the south, we're going to have them come out. We're going to have them walk all the way around, down to Hyatt, and then down into their neighborhoods. If you know the site well now, you know there is a sidewalk right there that goes in the west end. We want that gone. The people that live on that road want that gone. It is not a good setup. It's been there for probably 60 years. It's just not a good setup, and it needs to be fixed. This plan will fix that, and those homeowners won't have to deal with people blocking their driveway, pulling up on their grass twice a day, 5 days a week, 180 days a year. So we're happy about that. We still have the walkway, the kids that walk from here and walk back. We're going to look at getting, over the next couple of years, a coat of asphalt so that they're not walking through mud as well. Trying to fix that up. Again, that's not money that's in this budget, but it's money that we have in our school budgets to do some of that work over the summertime. The other thing we can do here, so the light at Hyatt and Park is kind of close to this entrance. So we know we have this whole space. If need be, we can take and we can move the entrance up and get it away from that stoplight as well. Also, in speaking with the city, we talked about retention, detention ponds for water. And the good news is, as I went through it with the city planner and he looked at our overall site plan, he doesn't think, based on what he's seeing, that we're going to need to add a detention or retention pond, which is great news. Because that is space that you don't get back. You've got to give it to them and you really don't get it back. And probably the retention pond, if we have to have one, probably would have to go in this area. So by not having a retention pond, it allows us to shift that road up, or that entry up if we need to. You can also see I mentioned 325 parking spots, 350, 335, 225 currently out here. You can see there is plenty of parking for any event that goes on in either of the buildings, whether it's middle school basketball, whether it's a concert for a full grade level, whether it's wax museum, whether it's anything we can come up with, there is plenty of parking on this site to handle that. If you're ever out here at a track meet after school, a big track meet, you know how congested that can be. This allows that. Are people going to have to walk a little bit further to get to the track? Yeah. But it's not like they're hiking a mile. You know, there's going to be walkways, there's going to be sidewalks that will get them to the baseball fields, get them to the tracks. There's the overall view of the campus. Again, you can see the footprint. You can see the north side, you can see the south side. Currently, we have a traffic light up here. In my preliminary discussions with the plungers group, we're thinking that's going to have to be moved down to here. Have not seen the report yet, so I'm not sure what it's going to say. Not sure if it's going to say you're going to have two. We don't know yet until we get that report back, which we're expecting in the next week or so. So, let's move to the high school campus. We talked about the transportation building, bus garage, I should say, bus parking, and tennis courts.
Gary?
Yes, sir.
Before you do,
Yep.
you're getting rid of 2 ancient buildings and some administrators. What's the, everything else held constant, what's the expectation as far as operating costs? More or less?
As far as savings on operating costs?
Yeah, more or less.
Yep. So we know we're going to go down to 2 principals. We know we're building 2 art rooms, 2 music rooms, and 2 gyms we're going to have. So currently we have 3 teachers in each of those. So we're looking to go down to 2 in each of those. The way our scheduling is currently done at the elementary level, you can get all the classes the way they're taught now, done with 2 teachers. So we're losing 3 positions there, teaching positions. We're going to lose 1 or 2 classified staff in the office, going from 6 down to 4 or 5. There's some other efficiencies that are slipping my mind, but as Mr. Stevens and I talked through it, we're saying conservatively, there's about a $400,000 a year operating savings.
What is the operating budget? Is that 10%, 3%?
I don't know the answer to that. That's going to be a treasurer question. You'd have to look at what the payroll is in each building, utility costs, all that stuff.
I would just think to save money too, with 8 out is what it does.
We will, but the problem is going to be is that those buildings aren't AC right now. So we're going to have to pick up that cost of air conditioning that we don't have right now in those
We
buildings.
think it would be less, whatever.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
So with the teachers that you're losing, or eliminating, do you have teachers that are about near retirement, or are you going to have to just let teachers go?
We feel as we look at the seniority list for both certified staff and classified staff, that there are teachers in that part of their career that will probably be moving on. Can't guarantee it, but looking at those lists, we're pretty comfortable that the vast majority of these positions are going to go away through attrition. But we're also trying to be open, upfront, and honest with these teachers now, saying, hey, once this gets through in about 2 years, there's only going to be 2 positions for the 3. What do you want to do? You want to look for something else? You want to ride it out and see, yeah, I think I'm going to last, I think Mrs. Fisher's going to leave, I think I'm going to have a job. So we're trying to be open, honest with everybody, and it's never an easy conversation to have. It's their careers. They came to Tipp for a reason. They love Tipp, like we love Tipp. We get that, and it's hard to have to talk about these types of things. But at the same time, running a school is like running a business. There is a business side to the school. People don't always want to see that, but when we're trying to balance dollars and cents every year, it's a factor. But we are trying to be very, very not flippant with them and all, just trying to be open and honest so they understand the situation. Yes, sir.
So eliminating the teaching staff, can the 2 existing or remaining teachers handle the additional workload?
Yes. Definitely, yes. The way we currently schedule our specials, definitely, yes. Currently, our special area teachers do a lot of coverage in the cafeteria, playground, morning duty, afternoon duty, that they're probably not going to be able to do anymore because they're going to be doing what they went to school to do, was to teach, and we'll have them teaching during the day. But I can
Picks up those additional tasks.
say that again.
Who picks up those additional tasks?
We'd have to
They
look
still
at
have to get done.
potentially an 8 being hired to come in during lunch to help do lunch supervision, potentially recess supervision, and it's a lot cheaper to have an aide do that as opposed to having a teacher teaching half a day and doing duties the other half of the day, or 2/3 of the day and duties the other third of the day, or teaching 2/3 of the day and then teaching reading or something like that. That's not what they're certified to do at the end of the day. So there's a lot of room in our schedules, the way our special area schedules are currently built, that 2 teachers can handle. I was a special area teacher, my wife's a special area teacher, I was a principal, so I understand the scheduling process, and I'm confident that yes. Okay. We're approaching 7:45, so we have a few slides to talk about. The high school site. Current high school, right here. Current practice field. Currently there's soccer, football, football. Since we got the turf at the stadium last year, most days, if there's not a boys game or a girls game, if they're both home or both practicing, one of those teams goes down to the stadium and practices on the turf. One stays at the high school and practices. So talking with Mr. Faust, the athletic director, and Mr. Vierhoff, the high school principal, they are very confident of being able to take and put our current tennis courts that sit out there and put them in this section of those current practice fields. Now we're currently showing 8 tennis courts there. Currently we have 6 right now out here, but we also have lights. We're not anticipating putting lights out here, so having the 2 extra courts will allow them to get all of their matches finished before the sun goes down. Again, information that came from Mr. Faust, he's been involved in these discussions all along, and he feels very confident that will work. Up top, we have our bus garage area and bus parking. Currently, the site out here takes up about 1.3 acres for our bus garage, parking of 24 buses, maintenance vehicles, salt spreader, bobcat, you name it, we fit it out there. This property that we purchased 3 or 4 years ago from Kessler Colesville up to Success Circle is about 8.5 acres. We know that this space currently is more crowded. So we know that we have the space here. Now we can grow a little bit, give our mechanics a little bit better area to work in, have our drivers have a little bit better driver room when they have their layoff between routes. Right now you can get maybe 4 of them in their driver's room, and we have 19 daily routes, so it's a really small driver's room. Current bus garage, not counting the boilers, so there's 3 boilers that sit out there. Not counting those boilers, current bus garage is about 4,800 square feet. For conceptual sake, I asked Mike Ritzley, I said, just draw me a 10,000 square foot building. I don't know if it's going to be that. I don't know. We have a budget set aside. Don't know if it's going to be 10,000. Don't know if it's going to be 7,000. We just wanted to be able to show that, yes, we have the space to do this right out there. We're not showing parking right now around the building, but there will be bus driver parking from their own vehicles around the building. We're showing them coming out and in, not off of Don Davis, but off of Success Circle Road into that lot. So we've taken those spaces or those things that needed to be moved and have locations for them that will work long term for this community.
Tennis courts have restrooms?
I heard a question.
Tennis courts have restrooms?
At this point in time, that's not in that plan for restrooms.
And they do what then?
If we don't build restrooms, we'd have to get the porta pots out there like I think they do now. Any other questions on this side? Yes, sir.
What do you have budgeted for the garage? You mentioned an unknown size, but you have a budget assigned to that.
We're budgeting right now somewhere between 500,000 and $1 million. Ballpark figure.
What determines?
What's going to determine the size of it is how many bays we need for bus repair, what goes in those bays. We get a lift in there to lift it up so it's safe for the mechanic. We also need to put in that bus garage. We currently have a maintenance building at Broadway that our maintenance supplies are stored at. We park a couple of maintenance trucks in that building as well. That's going to go away when we demolish Broadway. That space is going to have to go in there. We're going to need restrooms in there for the bus drivers, and we're going to need a bus driver meeting space as well. So we will go out. In fact, Mrs. Thompson and Mr. Blessing, current bus supervisor and current mechanic, have gone out already and started visiting different sites to see what works, what doesn't, what kind of size we think we're going to need. Again, the size I put up there was just to show we have the space. It doesn't mean it's going to be that size. Okay, moving forward. Mr. Stevens touched on this at the beginning. It's a $35.75 million levy. It's 27 years, as he said, 3 years ago. It was 37 years. We know that was one of the reasons that we didn't pass. We know it's not the only reason that we got trounced. We know it was one of the reasons. Voted millage, 5.44 mils. Collection the first 5 years, 3.87. Please plan to come back on March 12th and listen to Mr. Stevens give a much more in-depth presentation on the bond issue. Project schedule, tentative. If we can pass in May, design work begins in earnest May 8th. Year from now, early spring 2020, we're going to start work out here. Summer of 2021, PK5 moves in. Fall of 2021, the abatement demo of Nevenkopic and Broadway, pending Broadway, would happen. So we know the first 3 months, 2 to 3 months of the school year, traffic is going to be hellacious out here until we get Nevenkopic down. We'll adjust. Short-term pain for a long-term gain. We'll make it work, as we always make it work. Late 2021, all demolishing is done, all abatement is done. Potentially site work will be done over here for the parking, and potentially Broadway site, depending on what happens. It might just be a field of grass at that point in time.
Is there a potential of something else going into Broadway?
I'll let Dr. Come address that question.
All right, so we're having a neighborhood discussion and really looking at that. So in our OHFCC, our development plan that we have the demolishment and the abatement is part of that, with which we need Broadway space actually is clear green space. But we do have the opportunity to sell that to even as green space or as a structure. So
Either way it goes, though, we're not going to have to maintain.
That is the goal. That's exactly right. We might have to cut the grass if we don't sell it, but I can dig with cut the grass.
But we're not looking at leaving a building.
No.
Right.
So we don't have the funds to maintain it. That's one of the reasons we want to get out of it now.
Right, and you're welcome to join that discussion.
Next meeting is, I think we have it listed.
I think we do.
Maybe we don't. March 12th, bond issue, April 9th.
Next Broadway one is March 5th.
March 5th at Broadway in the multipurpose room, and then March 12th for the Hyatt site. Is that correct?
Hyatt site is March 19th.
March 19th, the Hyatt site, back in the media center. Those meetings take place at 6:30. This website, right here, it's on our main page. When you load our main page, you're going to see that black box that says Building Tipp City Schools. If you click on that, that takes us to our facility page. We are trying to be as transparent as humanly possible, putting every single thing out there that we can. Take about a half hour, take about an hour, start clicking through, look at the different things we have out there. If you have questions, call Dr. Kumpf, call Mr. Stevens, call myself. We will find answers for you to get the answers. I can't say this enough. We need this. It is time. It is time for this district to move forward, to take those old buildings that have served us so well over 70 years. It's time to move into the 21st century. So I hope you see that with us and appreciate that. And you can get your friends here, get your neighbors here, get them to look at the website, get them to the community meetings. We're going to be at the coffee shop, Grounds for Pleasure, Thursday morning, 9:30 to 10:30, to answer questions. If you have questions, show up. We're not going to be presenting. We're there to just dialogue with you and answer questions. Every other week, we're going to be at this coffee shop on Thursday mornings. The first Thursday of the month is at 7:30. The third Thursday of the month is at 9:30. Please come. Bring your neighbors, bring your friends, bring anybody that might have questions. We want them to know how strongly this is needed, how passionate we are about this, and why now is the time to do this. Dr. Kumpf, I'll let you close.
Well, I appreciate it. I know we ran a little bit longer this evening, but a lot of great information. As I said, Mr. Pfister is very well informed, and it has been a thoughtful process. We're still open to feedback because, once again, it's conceptual. So as we get closer and fine-tune things, all of this feedback will be taken into consideration. So hope that you can join us again. Next time it will be regarding the financial information regarding the bond issue. It should be a great discussion, and Mr. Stevens will be leading that. In between, I hope you're able to catch.
Coffee is at Grounds for Pleasure.
Okay. Hope you're able to catch our coffees that are Grounds for Pleasure this Thursday. It will be at 9:30, and then once again on the next time it will be at 7:30. But we have a schedule of whether it's the first or the third week of each month. And meanwhile, we also have our Broadway discussions, that site discussion, as well as our Hyatt neighborhood discussion. So thanks for coming. And as Mr. Pfister said, we are open and available and glad to meet one-on-one or one-on small group with anybody that has questions or would like to talk further. Thanks.